So I believe that it's a lack of support, not from my own experience. If I've come up with something that I need to talk to my supervisor about, I've not felt comfortable enough to talk to them, especially in my previous workplace with the racism. I couldn't talk to like my supervisor about it. When the issue did happen, I felt like I was the person who done something wrong when I never had said a bad word about any of those people that I worked with. It was never once supported.
Anna Fraser.
Sorry. Yeah.
Anna Fraser. In our unit, our HR person was actually the one who made the racist comments against us, and my own manager, direct manager, asked our senior manager if she had to do the ABO training, and I had to pull her up and say something about that. Our red officer was always out of the office, so we could not go to that person. Luckily, like I said, I had a fantastic mentor who knew Andrew, the commissioner. So I was able to speak with him, and I don't think, if I hadn't made that connection, I don't think that our complaint was taken quite seriously. Numerous emails between head HR, myself, my other colleague. Communication wasn't happening very fast, but I noticed as soon as I CC'd in Andrew's name, they were quick to respond to the emails. I was due to leave my current workplace and go back to previous workplace, and I emailed them 4 days before and asked if they had found me a position, which they hadn't. So luckily, where I'm working now came up with the work that I needed, but like I say, that's not a guaranteed position. So at the end of June, I will have to go back to the previous workplace.
Ray Lacey, hearing the comments just reinforces my opinion that all cultural awareness training must incorporate challenging people's opinions and attitudes. And I don't believe, I'm not criticising the cultural awareness that takes place, but I am aware that one of the sections of government in this jurisdiction conducts cultural awareness via computer on the screen. How can people's attitudes and opinions be challenged? And unless we incorporate that challenging people's attitudes, then you can sit through training and not engage at all, because the level of ignorance. I mean, I've been told that I'm not a real Aboriginal because of the colour of my skin. My mother happened to be English, and Australian Aboriginals happen to have a recessive gene. And not many people are aware of that, because I think we're the only Indigenous people in the world with a recessive gene. And I'm very proud of my Aboriginality. And my grandmother encouraged me, who actually, by the way, had brown skin, but encouraged me to be proud of who I am. But I digress, and I apologise for that. But I'm really passionate about having people's attitudes challenged.
Genevieve Robinson. I think one of the biggest challenges for the government is following on from Ray and Deanne and Anna is challenging the attitudes, but it's also having the support of senior leadership and knowing that senior leadership basically have your back. And I know that I've been in situations where that has happened, and I have felt valued and supported. And I've also been in situations where that hasn't happened, and my whole sense of self and ability to do the role that I'm employed to do has been sort of like shattered because you don't have that level of support that you need. And I think that then ties into one of the things that I know for me, and I know listening yarning with other mob too, that a lot of our skills, the skills that we bring to our roles, whether they're in identified positions or in mainstream positions, are often not recognised. So the skills of community connectedness, building relationships and walking the two worlds basically. So being in the community and available in the community beyond the 9 to 5, but also being a public servant and working by a code of conduct. And so we're often placed in positions that are very challenging personally. And I always have said that I work for the community, so I'm responsible to my community first and foremost, and I'm answerable to my community first and foremost. And that, so tying it back, the support of senior leadership makes or breaks how we're able, I think, for me anyway, how I'm able to do my role, knowing that I either have that support or don't have that level of support. And having leaders who are willing to take the time to listen and really hear and engage is important.
Lynette here from the committee. Just to tie it up, I in my previous positions where, like I said, I brought my son came in from sick from work, and my boss knew that, and she asked my son to leave the premises, and I said, why? He's sick, and I said, everyone else, kids come in after school, everyone else is allowed a workplace. She said, well, no. She said, Lynette, you need to stay in here. She said, and your son needs to go out and sit in the gutter at the front. And I lost it. I just defended my son, and I said, end of the day, if he's going, then I'm going. Like I said, more workplace is more important than my children. And that was senior management that done that. I rang her boss, and Lynette, I think you might have took it out of precaution. I said, no, I didn't. I've got witnesses. There was 5 witnesses there, and they was all too afraid to step up. So the answer, to your problem is why we don't do it is because you don't get the support. And I end up leaving the job. I left that job because, like I said, my children are more important. And, you grow up with discrimination all your life. And, places you go, they remind you, things back of your childhood. And I rather, like I said, I knew the discrimination board was there. I knew the process I had to follow to do that. But when I did not get support from none of the people that was around, that listened to that heard that, and I was standing on my own and had to fight on my own, I still went ahead and put the complaint in, but everything was all on their grounds, on their time, on their turf, wherever. And like I said, and I withdrew my whole application from the discrimination board. So, like I said, in saying that, it's just, you know, I guess it was culture for me. It was, you know, it was about not feeling supported, and the bureaucrat that I had to go through in regards to, you know, to all that. And like I said, for me, it was easier to leave the job and be unemployed rather than go through the whole process of the bureaucrat. And like I said, and I was isolated from the rest of the staff who took that side over me.
Since we are running out of time, I'd like to ask everyone if they can sort of fill in 2 points. What drove them to come and join us here today to share their stories, and what you'd like to see changed, or what result you'd like to see come out of this committee?
Suzette Fay. What brought me here was through my childhood, I was encouraged to stand up and be counted, to vote, and I still very, very strongly believe that. And every opportunity I can have a chance to have my say, I will take it. And I strongly encourage all my students and their families to do the same. What I'd like to see change is continue to be touched on some of the skills that we bring to jobs that are not in duty statements or, you know, selection criteria, but are definitely why we're put into those jobs and why in my directorate schools are screaming out for us. And I'd like that to be formally recognised with our level of position and the appropriate remuneration. Thank you.
Darren Trong. I come here really to support my hobby. Really, I enjoy my role. They're culturally sensitive. Both with my previous role in ACT Heritage and now in Natural Resource Management programs, they're really fantastic. I'm the only Aboriginal person there, and they when I need time out, they give me time out. I get the job done, they're happy. I guess what I'd like to see is more flexibility, support, and understanding in the workplace.
Yes, is it? I do love my job. I love it.
Lynette, the Community Service Director. What brought me here today is because, like I said, I know there's a lot of these, you know, young people are coming through today. I want to share my experience, but also, like I said, you know, 3 years of trying to get study leave and, you know, make choices between my family and study. But I'd like to see that change. Whether you come in on a contract or, you know, I don't know, maybe they could look at, you know, those opportunities of study as well. The changes I'd like to see, like I said, is more permanent positions that are identified, that are specifically there to work and to support our community. Like I said, coming from the role that I previously was, you know, there's a greater and bigger need for an Aboriginal staff or Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander staff to be out there connected with that community because, like I said, it's the face that, you know, us mob go to that, you know, makes familiar. Like I said, that's the changes I'd like to see happen